our long transit towards Kwajalein.
It's a large sample.
Oh boy.
And so,
Oh.
and yeah, for today's dive, we do have, should be coming off the bottom close to 6 p.m. Hawaii time.
Manipulator cam up.
Sure.
And yeah, we absolutely want to make it to the top of this ridge that is still 140 meters in elevation gain. So we'll try to cover ground and maybe keep the zooms a little bit lower, just so we can cover some ground. Yeah, I was talking earlier about the need to preserve these things in different preservatives. There's different things that are lost in the preservation process, and different preservatives do different things.
So
Alcohol
holding on to it
shrinks
strangely.
tissues, so you lose
So
the
I'm gonna have to
coloration,
just
some of
sort
the pigments leach
drop it,
out.
I think.
Stuff gets brittle, and but it preserves DNA, and conversely, formalin, for example, will preserve the shape, but it will fragment DNA, and it's very difficult to get DNA from formalin, or impossible to get DNA from formalin-preserved material. And then, of course, no preservative is perfect, and you always lose something in the process, and that's why these in-situ images, so being able to see these animals in a natural environment is so important, to see how they look like, what colors do they like, what are the shapes and sizes of some certain things in their natural environment, because as soon as you remove them, you'll lose certain things. And so when you're trying to describe a new species, which a lot of these specimens that we end up collecting end up being new species, because you really want to include a description of what this animal looks like in their natural environment. So in the past, a lot of the deep water corals were only known from samples that were collected from dredges or trawls, and so people had no idea what these animals look like in their natural environment. And so it's really nice to add that all those characters to the descriptions. And yeah, absolutely.
Way to put that in the perfect three-point landing. Way to go, guys.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that was one of the more difficult collection with the way the current was blowing. And
okay, I'm going to hold there.
Outstanding. Yeah, thanks, Bobby. And again, a very invaluable specimen. It's going to add a lot of our to our knowledge of these deep water environments. And
are you tugging on me?
Looks okay now.
Okay, there I am. All right. Can we get mini? Actually, I can do it from here. We're fine.
Bobby, watch your series cam.
What?
I'm just not sure how far you are from that coral.
Oh.
Maybe you have a better sense of depth than I do.
Yeah, I'm above it.
Okay. All right.
Floating high. Got all the depth on. I just want to get this arm stowed.
I'll bring it over for you.
yes, I was just a while ago when we started that sampling collection, I was talking a little bit about future sampling sites, and we have somewhat limited options because of the very long transit we have
Okay,
to
hydraulics off.
Kwajalein Atoll. So
I don't like flying with that arm out.
we will
like that.
discuss that in a
If we can
post-dive
avoid it.
call, but
Just
the
come on,
most
serious, please.
feasible things is to go to Castellano Seamount tomorrow. This
Now I'm at
seamount
the,
is to our
end of the tether.
southwest. And then there's a couple more seamounts, and one in particular that's right at the edge of the US EEZ. And from that seamount to the south, it would get us to Kwajalein right on time. And
Come forward and then support.
Yep.
And then,
Excellent,
turn
yes.
further port to find the uphill slope.
All right, watch lead. As always, thank you for your patience during that sample. I know it took a little bit longer.
No, thank you.
But
That
up on
was
that pinnacle, we had to make sure we were fully set up. Otherwise, I saw the vehicle driving right into it and losing the entire thing.
no, that was very well done, and thank you for taking the time to image that, and that was outstanding.
All right, I'm comfortable, Dan, if you are.
Okay, so Jim, what does it look like?
More northerly. I
Some
think, but-
nice ripples in that sediment pocket right there.
flat
Obviously,
here where we are
so
now.
this is a good illustration.
Yeah,
So
well,
you can see the
020
current going
is what
from
we
our
need
right
to
to left,
average.
and you can
Let's,
see that
let's
the
do
ridges of those
020
ripples
then.
are oriented perpendicular to that direction of current. So this is how geologists use
Okay, let's
ripples
just
as
snap on this
current
fish.
direction
Yeah.
indicators.
Yeah, the
Okay, go
bottom.
More than 30, or should we just do 30?
Yeah, and that's also a new fish for
Let's do
this
30
dive.
for now, and then we might need to make slight adjustments to
Okay.
follow the ridge, follow the uphill.
Bridge nav.
Yeah, it looks like we're looking at a Neoscopellus fish. They're often found in the midwater, but they also
Yeah,
can
move please.
aggregate
They're
close to the bottom.
30 meters.
Not sure on the
bearing
species of this,
020
but definitely in the
degrees,
genus Neoscopellus.
decimal 2 knots.
Don't do that.
Thank you, Andrea.
Good copy, thank you.
Time to let him go.
Yep, and we'll need to come starboard. I'm about 25 degrees off of our move.
Science look like a lot
So
of coral.
that's
right
quite
there.
a lot of dead coral branches on the sediment there, and I'm sort of wondering what we're going to find upslope. Could find a bed of these antelops or some other type of scleractinian.
Yeah, and Andrea had pointed that out earlier too, and that's I am very eager to make it to the top. That's I think
we
exactly
need it,
where
we
we'll start
center up
finding
HD2.
very high abundances.
What was that?
Uh,
Unless we need it on the right, can we center up HD2?
Sure.
Just stand by, Roland. We'll get it fixed for you in a second.
But yeah, one very interesting thing about today's dives is by having
Looks
this
like a new
extended bottom
starfish
time,
to me.
like
Yeah,
typically
we'll get a quick snap since I'm waiting
we get
on
about
Sirius
8 hours
anyway.
on these dives today. The crew is
Yeah,
allowed
nav
us to spend
co-pilots
10
had to
hours here on
keep
the
things
bottom.
moving.
Okay.
And
we're
Dan,
going to
don't let me get
cover a large depth gradient,
don't let
so
me
we've
forget
climbed
what we're doing with
over
time, 'cause I wanna
over
get you in here.
450
So make sure you
meters
remind me
already,
before we get off
and we've gone through kind of a
Spot.
different
All right.
different communities. One that was mostly dominated by primnoid corals at the bottom,
Before we start moving,
now
I'm
into
gonna
one
fix
that's
HD2
more
for you,
dominated
Bobby.
by
Wait,
Chrysogorgia
are we not
corals.
moving?
Oh,
and,
well, it just ship move just
Roger.
so-
Yeah, yeah,
Judging
okay.
by that debris, I think we might see something entirely different towards the top of the seamount.
So watch lead. Sirius is moving, but we got some time, so I'm just going to quick
Yeah,
grab an image of this creature.
sounds good. I think it might be a slime star, but
Go ahead.
How's that rolling?
That's good. Thank you, sir.
no, that's an urchin, and that's also unusual.
Slime star sounded much cooler.
Yeah, yeah, no. And
Trying to get my focus here.
Yeah, I'm still trying to create the composition.
Bobby knows all about this.
No, I don't. I do now.
Okay, pulling out for full species. And video's clear, pulling out full wide.
Roger.
Yeah, so thanks, Chris, for that ID.
Oh, that's another one of those neat
tentative.
urchins right below it. The little balls with the all the arms. That's always cool.
A few more of these Iridogorgia, and that's Magnus spiralis.
So I take it our one of our
There's
goals
a
is
Brisingid sea star.
quick progress snap zooms.
Yeah, they're really interested at the
General.
top of this feature. So we're going to try to push through, and a lot of this we've seen and imaged already earlier today. So unless it's something very unique.
Yeah, and I'll try to point that out too, Bobby, if I see something that's very
Perfect. Thank you,
unusual.
Watchley.
But yeah, I do want to make it to the top.
Don't worry, Dan.
And just an observation with the overall texture of the manganese crust, I'm not seeing as much of that botryoidal or grapey type of texture. This might sort of indicate it like the overall thickness in the crust, but I can't be absolutely positive of that. Might kind of highlight the depth dependent on the rate of precipitation, as well as the age dependence on the rate of precipitation.
Coming up on the end of this move.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll
Just
want
keep
to
it moving.
shift a bit more north.
Do another same move. Oh, more northerly rather than
Couple
Yeah,
of
seeing the slope
nice
more to
pillow lava
do north
structures right here.
bring my head around.
Let
Yeah.
me know if I can help, Dan.
And we did see one of the most spectacular
to
pillow lavas earlier in the dive. This
Hit a certain
enormous
heading or something.
Sure.
elongate tube.
Yeah, and something that you don't normally see with pillow lavas because they kind of just have this erratic spreading type of action
Yeah.
while they're
Let's
erupting,
do
and
north. So we're gonna head due north.
so the slope played along with the rate of eruption, and
Bridge
since
down.
we were on a steeper slope, it looked like that one single tumulus of the
Move right
pillow
another
just
move,
kind of
please.
just broke right on
30
free
meters,
and
30
descended
meters,
straight
zero,
on down
zero,
the
zero,
the slope of the
Can we
the
just
ridge,
snap on
and
those layers
ended
straight
up
ahead?
being, I don't know, maybe about
We'll hold here, Roland.
5 or 6 meters long.
Copy, thank you.
Really neat kind of landscape here with these
Before we get too deep, I
interesting
think I'm gonna
laminations, horizontal
Oh, yeah,
laminations.
let's bring string arms back up. Perfect.
And Randy Singer has just joined us from Florida. So yeah, welcome, Randy. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Bridge.
Yeah, so we'll
Yeah, you can bring them back up to where they were. Yeah.
Up there.
Yeah, it's very interesting how the community has completely changed to what we saw at the bottom. This is all chrysogorgid corals. Below it was all primnoid corals.
Still out just a bit, but
Thank you.
So there was kind of an overlap where we saw both groups, and now it's given way, and you see different species and this concept of vertical
Is that a
zonation.
coral or
that,
is that a sand patch? Looks like it's a sand patch.
this concept
That
of
big
vertical
white
zonation,
idea.
that's something that's very familiar in terrestrial ecology,
Sand
that you have
patch.
tree lines or things like that, that you have these sharp divides. in the marine realm, and then
Probably don't know if
especially
you
in the
guys can
deep
feel it
sea,
in your
that's
chairs,
not
but
really
I'm getting a lot more
been
side-to-side
applied as
motion
much,
of the
and it's
ship,
not, a
so-
lot less information. And it's a interesting anemone there.
Yeah, can we get a quick zoom in on that?
We can.
Yep, we'll get you one.
We'll keep Sirius moving and
Too soon, but
grab this on the way.
Yeah, that due north move looks like a good heading, Jim.
Go ahead, video.
yeah, originally I thought this could be Relicanthus. They have generally long pedicles, but this one doesn't seem to have those. I don't know, maybe spot.
Well, it looks like
Take my
Relicanthus,
camera,
but I
please.
agree, maybe it's a really small one.
What do you need?
Just center it up.
Okay.
The rocks are shifting under my weight.
Yeah, sorry.
Tossing me all over the place. Thankfully, with this current, it'll clear up pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree that Relicanthus is what that looks like. I didn't hear you a moment ago.
Yeah, that's what you thought as well. We were discussing it. Looks like Relicanthus. We're noting that it doesn't have long as another specimens that we've seen.
Yeah, I wonder if this is just a younger one. I'm not hearing you. The audio that I turned down was listening to the video.
What's up just there?
Halfway through the move.
Okay.
A little more.
Yeah.
Video's good with this.
Okay.
Pull on your command.
Just come out. Move on.
Hey, Jim,
Yeah, so
let's go with
our
40 meter move.
the teleconference line is broken up a little bit, but it seems like we got a little consensus. I do want to just emphasize that we'll try to just image things we haven't seen so far in a dive. We do want to prioritize making it to the top.
It's neat how this.
And
that
considering
we're on is
that
kinda
some of these
just a-
places we've gotten
So
strong
you
currents
almost see
making
where
it
it maybe
difficult to
broke off.
move, we'll try to push forward as much as we can just to make sure that we make it to that top part of the seamount where we think we're going to find the
Did they
highest
get all their rock
aggregation
specimens?
of animals.
Watch lead. Pilot. Looking at looking at the Sirius cam, it sort of looks like this chunk that we're sitting above, maybe separated from the larger chunk. Am I looking at that correctly, or guessing that correctly?
Unfortunately, the sediment on top of it kind of conceals any potential fault lines, but typically faults will end up being oriented in a more linear shape rather than this horseshoe shape. Well,
Okay.
this more micro horseshoe shape. So I think it's just deceiving where the sediment has kind of filled in, giving a
Okay.
false
Bridge
a
nav.
false fault type of look to it.
Let's just go straight into another move, please.
And yeah, there's a question about the
40
current. So
meters,
we are
going
right now
0
oriented,
degrees,
looking almost
2 knots.
north, due north, and you can see the particles coming from right to left, so from east to west. And so yeah, that's been consistent.
Good
And yeah,
copy,
again,
thank you.
these are these sediment piles, and there seems like there's a lot of coral fragment. And as Chris pointed out, maybe we'll find something very interesting at the top that might be the source of all that debris.
All right, moving on.
So we're squared up on due north.
Yeah, so we're
Looks like it gets
about
maybe a hair steeper here.
about 6 hours into this dive. We do have about 2.5 hours remaining of bottom time. And it was very interesting that we passed right through this oxygen minimum layer. So in Hawaii, we don't have a true oxygen minimum zone, which are defined as those where you have oxygen concentrations of less than 0.5 milligrams per liter. But we do have a layer where it gets below 1, and so we started at 1.5 at about 1,300 meters, and now we're coming at 800 meters. It's again back to 1.5. And yeah, this yellow coral seems to be new.
Video, let's just get a snap zoom, please. Okay, maybe I'll be able to stabilize enough.
It's in focus now. Was.
Perhaps an acanth.
Stand by.
Plexaurid.
Gonna
Must
come
be a
around the.
plexaurid of some kind,
Come wide,
but
please,
I
real quick.
certainly don't know what kind. I don't think it's a Paramaricia, but I'll be interested to hear what Andrea has to say.
Yeah, I think we saw this on Saturday too, I believe, where I'm not convinced that it's not a Paramaricia, so I'm not quite sure
Just,
what it is.
Stay on the safe side. Maybe
We
while
can
we're on
agree
this,
then that it's a plexaurid.
short patch
Yeah,
to the
absolutely.
Slow the move down to 0.1.
Okay, you want to slow them down now? Or?
Yeah, just put it slowed down.
Do you need me to keep coming up?
Yeah, let's come up a bit. But slow it down, just give you more time.
One
to
more
listen.
video.
Bridge
That's all we got.
nav.
Not gonna-
Yeah, could we slow this move down to 0.1 knots, decimal 1 knots, please?
Thanks, Jim. Just to be on the safe side.
Being safe is good.
And we'll need to
All
come
right.
up here, Bobby.
Time to go. Pushing up. Can we bring the lower swing arms in when you
Got
get a
it.
chance?
Yep.
All the way in?
Yep.
Coming up fast for you, though.
Okay.
Let's get through this section.
Passing a few more Iridogorgias there.
And we also just passed a nice little hollowed out toe of a either a pillow lava or actually a lava tube. That was cool.
And here are a few more of these Farreate sponges, and that's, as Chris had pointed out, that's not the erect form, so there's some more.
So there's a sponge directly in the center of a dissected toe of a pillow lava. You can see these kind of concentric circles around that. Stereotypical texture from a pillow lava.
Continue
And
up.
another large bamboo coral. And yeah, we're starting to see different animals appearing. A few of these plexaurids and bamboo corals, and again other things appearing as we move up and across a different depth range. We're now past 800 meters, so we are at 790, and we have approximately 90 meters to climb on the seamount before it starts to flatten out. And yeah, as you can see here, the density is quite high.
And the density of awesome geology is quite high as well. We just passed up some really beautiful
Come up.
dissected
Something like that
pillow
again. I
lavas
wanna
where
be
you
able
could
to
actually
go
see the
sideways on it.
concentric textures within the core of the pillow lavas. So that was just great. And I just want to point out that this seamount is supposedly about 80
Or
to 90 million
maybe
years
just
old.
up a
So we
little
were
bit
looking
more.
at textures that were deposited and in place by lava flows that erupted about 80 to 90 million
Yeah,
years
yeah,
ago.
that's good.
So incredible
Yeah,
preservation
I like
of
that on the
primary
port.
textures there.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yep.
And it's very interesting that we kind of keep going over these sediment patches almost in regular intervals, and enormous.
Yeah, so hopefully it's a a clue of what's to come. So something has to be providing this obviously increased source of sediment.
And that's a nice view on the ridge there.
Well, now that we're you're getting out at the end of your tether. Now that we're on a flatter part again, do you want to bump it up to point 2?
Sure.
So we've definitely seen these sedimentary pockets with very thick blankets of sediment. However, we were diving under carbonate tops
Yeah, we can bring
from
it back up to
Hawaiian
0.2
seamounts.
knots,
So this seamount doesn't actually have a very flat top to it. It's more or less rigid and, well, rigid as in that it doesn't have this broad, flat coral atoll to provide a sedimentary source for these types of features. So this will be very interesting to see what's hiding at the top of this that's providing so much material.
Yeah, this is enormous. Yeah, these patches right here.
And pretty coarse sediment too, so pebble to very coarse pebble, grain sizes of coral debris.
How much further in that move, Jim?
10 meters, not
Okay.
at most.
Okay, we need to make a direction change. Finish that up.
That was a question or a statement?
Statement.
Okay.
We will need to
Go further west.
Yeah, and we see all kinds of fish here, at least 4 that we passed over.
What are you thinking?
might need to move a little more northeast.
Okay. Right. Maybe back to our .20.
Still, yeah, 020 on high pack. Is that kind of the
Yeah.
general direction of waypoint 2?
Another 40 meters?
Yeah, I think that's fine.
We're just about there. I'll go ahead and call that in. Bridge nav. If you'd like to go right into another move, please. 40 meters, bearing 020 degrees, decimal 2 knots.
So
Bring my head around, Bobby.
yeah, we're just calling in our ship move here and trying to cover some ground.
Good copy, thank you.
Centered up.
Again, for those folks who might be watching this at one of our public viewing displays, this is live video feed being brought to you by the NOAA ship Okeanos Explorer, the only ship in the NOAA fleet that is fully dedicated to marine exploration, going to places where nobody's been and exploring. And on this expedition, we're spending 3 weeks up in the northwestern Hawaiian Islands, diving some deep features in and around the Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monument. And this video is being broadcast live over the internet. So in addition to those public viewing displays that have been set out around Hawaii and other places of the country, you can also access this video in real time over the internet at oceanexplorer.noaa.gov. In addition to today's dive, which will have another 2 hours or so, we'll have dives on both tomorrow and on Friday. And that is just the first of 4 expeditions this year. The Okeanos Explorer is going to spend time throughout the U.S. Pacific, and its field season is going to conclude in September. And over the course of this time, it's going to be doing work in the Pacific remote islands, as well as in Marianas Trench. going to some of these, the biggest treasures we have in our ocean, some of these very large
be
marine
coming up
protected
ahead.
areas that are composed largely of very deep
100%
waters,
yeah.
and the vast majority of which has not been explored. And so, yeah, the Okeanos Explorer is going to be going to these places that have hardly been explored, and you can all share on the excitement, tune in, watch, and join on the many discoveries that are going to result from these surveys.
Want to revise that video?
I would send you.
So, just looking from the Sirius cam down on these linear structures that appear to be larger than just ripples, with a sorting of maybe grain sizes on that sediment.
Ah,
Or urchin, whatever it is.
the urchin on the crack down there. Okay. There's another urchin. Not hearing anything from shore.
Some nice view from HD2.
A few more squat lobster and an urchin.
It's on layers.
Yeah, if we have a
Interesting
second, maybe let's
objects
take a
underneath.
quick
Yeah,
peek.
let's snap zoom underneath that ledge.
Enemy of some sort? Or, yeah. One open, one closed.
Oh, I stand by. Co-pilot camera, please.
You got it. Let me know what you need.
Just on these two objects right here.
Coming up.
So those are closed up anemones, but I'm not sure what they are. Are they hormathiids? Just looking at the texture of the stock.
Yeah, thank you, Chris.
back
Yeah,
in.
very difficult with the
Yeah, I
with
didn't
the
think I was rising. Yeah, let's come back.
with the
up.
tentacles retracted like that.
Camera stop.
My tail end may have been waving up and down. Alright. When you're happy, video.
Pulling up.
Camera.
I don't think it's a hormathiid, even with that, but who knows?
Time to push out ahead.
Yep. Coming up, pushing ahead.
Can you also, as you go across, tilt down just to give them that vantage point on the satellite?
And so yeah, that again, we're right now
This sort of,
oriented
let's
due
snap on
north.
this. This sort of looks like what we sampled.
Yeah, and that's
On
north.
this sort of looks like what we sampled.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah. Yeah, and there's the little appendages.
Oh yeah! Wow.
Time for me to move on.
there you go. So that's the second time we've damaged that animal,
All right,
but
pushing out, dude.
kind of both had these unusual structures.
It was all pixelated here. And, did it also have the sack?
Yep,
It did.
it surely did, Scott.
That's terrific. Great find.
White crust there, like carbonate or something?
I didn't quite follow that. Daniel, did you say it had those same sack-like structures? Because it was pixelated as well. We didn't really see it.
You did say that, Chris.
Yeah, so absolutely it did. So that's very informative. That's one of these things. Is a lot of times you make a single observation
Yeah,
and
that
then
certainly supports the hypothesis that it's part of the coral and not that it's...
Yeah, exactly. And well, yeah, I was going to make the point that that's one problem that you have in particular in deep sea exploration is that typically you have a single observation, so there's no way of really saying anything about how common that might be or if it's a really unusual thing. And so, yeah, having
Are we on
a
that
couple
move,
of observations makes it
How
a
far are
little
we
bit
into that?
more
Oh, we must be just finishing. Yeah.
more
This
informative.
current feels like it's getting harder and harder.
Is it?
So what do you think?
And
for
yeah, we
direction?
see the
It's
current is blowing hard,
flattening out a bit.
coming still from the east towards the west. We've now
Yeah, let's continue at 020.
we're at
140?
740 meters, and dissolved oxygen has continued to rise. We're
Bridge
now
nav.
above 2 milligrams per
I'd
liter.
like to do another move, same as the last. 40 meters, bearing 020.
And
decimal
yeah,
2
so
knots.
we have cleared
Bobby,
this
those dark
layer of the
stripes
very
may be
low
the source.
oxygen, and interesting to see how the
We got
communities
some time, so we're going to just
did
stay
not
here and look
disappear
at
in
this.
that layer, and then in fact,
Go ahead,
there's a
Lydia.
couple parts where there was quite dense. And this is another one of these
Yeah, you tilt
urchins.
up and actually look at the corals above.
Yep.
Chris had
Just wanted to
given
get
us a
that. Now we'll
tentative
go up.
ID for a couple of potential families here earlier. But yeah, interesting to see how much of this coral debris. And right there, Chris, what you had alluded to earlier, yeah, that looks very much like dead Analopsamia. So maybe we'll find a bed of this.
agree. Yeah, I would agree. It sure looks like a scleractinian.
Yeah. So that's, yeah. I am very, very interested to see what we find at the top. There's a single anemone there in the middle of this coral rubble. There's a few more.
Going to come back down low, where I think we have a little
Copy
bit
that.
more light.
Yeah, hopefully we'll find the source of all this material.
Okay, you want
Let's
to
come on.
pull out and move on?
Yeah, that puts it in perspective how much. That's an enormous patch, and it's covered by skeletons of corals that we believe are in this Analopsamia, this scleractinian coral. That's a lot of material.
Hey, Science, how close are we to the actual top peak of this feature?
So the top feature is about 40 meters more to climb. And that's in vertical relief, and I'll get
About 200 meters horizontal.
yeah, about 200 meters here to the.
So could this be, rather than just rubble, maybe an ancient coral patch that used to be alive and now ceased to be?
Flat from here on.
Yeah, actually, we're having a little bit of discussion about that in the chat room right now. So, during ice ages, sea level can fluctuate quite a bit. So,
About 120 meters here in Hawaii.
yeah, under the assumption that these sea levels fluctuate, offering an opportunity for this seamount to be closer to the surface, these certainly could be fossil coral beds. Definitely not my specialty in geology, and
Yeah.
so it's quite a complex
Certainly
interplay
a very powdery
between.
sediment.
Yeah, but I think that
You
is.
can see when I touch my toes in.
I think that's a lot of more modern pelagic detritus that's kind of deposited itself on top of these skeleton debris. It's an interesting Interesting bit of patches here.
Yeah. No, that isn't an interesting alternative hypothesis that these might have been
Ron, can
alive
you
at
zoom
this
in here
very
real quick?
spot.
So alternatively to sea level changes, Scott has also offered up that
You can see how it just
changes
keeps
in temperature and oxygen content can also
powdering.
drive community
All right, let's come on.
fluctuations.
Drifting fish.
We're starting to see a few more fish. And that's another rat tail or left that we just
Darker
passed.
rock
Did you
to the
change your
right.
And that
motion, Dan? Or your heading, Dan? Do I need to?
No, it should be 020, but we can adjust if.
So we do have
I guess
about
it's looking like it's moving more east.
2 hours remaining on
How
this
much is left in
dive.
the moon?
Probably something you just went past something.
The white thing?
Maybe a
Yeah.
quick zoom on this C-pen. I don't know if that's the same.
Yeah, we can do that.
Science, we also
Just
saw
quick. It
some
won't
other
need to be extended.
animal.
Yeah, maybe we do adjust our heading again.
Go ahead, video.
Come more to the right. You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Penicilla and Flata. That's the same that we had seen a little bit earlier.
040.
And there's a nice view of the siphonozoids. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, these have
So we want to continue
also
to break point two,
dimorphic
but also make sure we're
polyps. So some
On the ridge
polyps
shot.
are specialized just for pumping water, and others for feeding. And that's kind of
Actually,
division of
putting-
labor, and that's something that
you
you
think?
see in
Yeah, I'm
several
sort of trying
groups
to
of
Glean more
corals.
information than the topology really gives me, but it looks like we're on sort of a
All right, let's come on.
um,
just like a local point here.
yeah, exactly. It's smaller than another move would be. So I mean, the way I read it, we should keep on going the same direction.
There it is.
This is really just
Coming
a
below
small,
the lasers.
small little nose.
That
sticking out.
object right there?
That one or the one on the bottom right.
That one looks better.
Potential xenoviable.
Now, yeah, interesting thing though about this whole
Maybe we do
these massive
We're
patches
compromising
of
with
coral.
030.
It did look like this one species
Okay.
of
Go
ahead.
Spartanian corals that we have here in Hawaii, this
40030.
in Alapsamia.
So we're
Bridge
calling it a
nav.
move, Bobby.
Huh.
I'll let you know when you need to go.
And we did see some live ones deeper.
Yep, another move, please.
And what are we looking
meters,
at here?
bearing 030
Xenophile
degrees,
for
decimal 2 knots.
Daniel, I think it's a xenophyophore.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, Chris. I agree.
Good copy, thank you.
Should laser across this.
Thanks, Jim.
You can also see over on the left sort of that stair-step arrangement of a scleractinian coral, one of the dead skeleton or one of the dead branches.
Yeah, and a few of the zooms in, you could see the calyces, yeah. Even.
Yeah, but I think there's some other corals in there, and certainly is not all Enolopsamia. There's some
Yeah.
other scleractinians, and maybe there's some shallow water ones too, and we're seeing the remains of
For
a shallow water community
Where do I need to head?
here
050.
as part of the graveyard.
So come left. All right.
Yeah, we'll see. So the shallowest portion of this seamount is
Not a lot to worry about.
only 600 600 meters, 650 meters deep.
That's cool. That was good. How are we doing on bottom time, Nav?
Some dark rock showing through.
Oh, we have 2 hours, exactly.
2 hours.
Yeah, so we have exactly 2 hours remaining here on the bottom.
Can we look at the differences between the light and the dark?
Yeah, we're at 740 meters, so now
Switch in about
the
15
oxygen
minutes.
level is above 2, and
Yeah.
it's been
Does that sound
steadily
about right?
above 2
Splits it about evenly.
for a while.
It's up to you.
And it looks like
I
we
wanna
just lost
get you
the
in the seat.
conference line. So, we realized that we lost the conference line, so that they're working to reestablish that. Again, we have about 2 hours remaining on today's dive. Our current depth is 735 meters. We do want to make it to the top of this feature, which it's going to start flattening out around 700 meters, and then
Probably programmed to end it.
but that's still about 150 meters away in horizontal distance from us. So we do want to cover this large depth
Yeah,
gradient
each
with
other.
this dive, and
We're underway.
Yeah, go ahead, survey. Okay. Thank you, Mashko.
Some large
Go ahead, Rich.
object straight ahead. May just be an optical illusion in the sand.
No problem.
so then again, this is the 6th dive during this expedition
Copy,
aboard the
5.
Okeanos Explorer. We have 2 more dives, weather permitting. Hoping to dive both tomorrow and on Friday, and those are going to be on seamounts in the vicinity of this area and seamounts south of us, and that's mostly because after those 2 dives we have to cover a enormous distance to make it to the next port, which is Kwajalein Atoll down in the Marshall
I'm
Islands.
still with you if you need something, Bobby.
Yeah, during these
Yeah, we're just kind of driving around waiting for Sirius.
on this expedition, 3 weeks, we'll
Are we gonna
have
enough
covered
time to
a
get to
total
waypoint
of
2, Jim?
over
Sorry?
3,100 miles.
Waypoint 2, 'cause,
I think so.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
so
could
gone a very large
speed up
distance.
a bit if
I
we need
think,
to.
no, I think we're in good shape to get there.
Okay.
It's not actually quite the top of the...
Okay, video, let's go in here.
Okeanos Explorer primary feed.
Vehicles are 170 meters away.
No, is that all?
Go ahead, video.
Pushing
From the waypoint, now that's not really quite the top.
Okay.
Okeanos has rejoined the conference.
And that looks like
we
a
trying to get to the
siphonophore, one of
Yeah.
these dandelions.
Well, it's a good question.
Barely hanging on.
Early out.
Alright, we can come wide video.
But I think
We've seen those before.
I think at the speed we've been going, we're going to get there with no problem, even if it's the
Okay.
top.
All right.
A good spot, yeah, that's the first siphonophore we've imaged on this dive.
Science, you copy. We're back on the conference call.
Yeah, watch lead nav.
So Daniel, you got cut off right when I was about to start pontificating.
Hang on 1 second, Chris.
So this might be a good time if you're connected still.
Yeah. Just to make you aware, the
Are
waypoint
you there?
2 looks to be maybe 30 or 40 meters closer than the top of the feature. So if you really want to make it to the top, we probably need to go a little farther. But I think we've got plenty of time at this. If we can continue the speed we're going, we'll get there, no problem.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Chris. Probably a good time for you to talk while they're figuring something out.
Okay.
Sorry, Chris.
What I was just saying is that I I was on a seamount back in 2007. By the way, this is Helipterus, the C-pen. But anyway, I was on a seamount in 2007 at the summit.
Yeah, let's keep it
Was at about the same depth as this one. It was around 700 meters, and there was also a very extensive dead coral graveyard on that seamount as well. And we collected some of the dead branches and sent them to Steve Cairns at the Smithsonian, who identified them as a type of sclerotinia that has never been recorded before in Hawaii. It's very well known elsewhere in the world, but anyway, I guess there was some event, maybe what Jonathan was talking about, glacial changes, and who knows what happened, but something happened at both of these places.
Yeah, that's very interesting. And where was that seamount, Chris?
That's the one that we call the North French Frigate Shoal Seamount, and for the life of me, I can't remember the Hawaiian name. It now has a Hawaiian name, and we dove on it on dive number 2.
Kanehunamoku.
Yeah.
Kanehunamoku.
Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't remember that.
Can I try again?
Yeah, that's very interesting, Chris. Yeah.
Let's go. Just confused what we're looking at.
It's a hole.
Yeah, and Chris, kind of also interesting that. So the age difference between this one and that Hawaiian seamount that's north of French Frigate Shoals, that
it's another end of it at the far side. Do you see it?
Yeah, I saw that little white object. I don't think we can get anything better in the time that we have. So moving on.
That would tend to. I don't know, Jonathan, but maybe that would tend to support a fairly large area event, wouldn't it? If the same thing happened to two seamounts at different ages where their summits are at the same depth?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was just thinking aloud and didn't really finish my thought there because I wasn't sure where I was going with that comment. But yeah, so separated not only by age but also in spatial separation as well. So we've been kind of playing around with the theories of global sea level change due to glaciation, interglaciation, or climate change in oxygen and temperature. I guess those are also regional events as well. So, and global events at that too.
And we collected our rock samples for the day.
So you said you made collections of those dead coral branches over on Kaneunamoko.
What was that again, Jonathan?
Oh, you made collections of those dead coral branches. I think I heard you say that, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. We wanted to know what it was, and then it turned out it was a whole new record for Hawaii, but I don't know what that means since they were dead. Still haven't found a live colony of Somalis amelia.
Immediately right a laser.
And they weren't dated, or they were dated?
They were not dated, but they had a film of manganese on them, so I gather they were fairly old.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Ken Rubin might be able to help out with that situation in the dating of the actual coral tissue.
Yeah, and these look fairly
Tilt down.
fairly intact in some places. Yeah. And it's very interesting.
I'm no expert on scleractinians, but this doesn't quite look to me like it's Enelopsamia. It looks like the calyces are almost lined up on the branches.
Yeah, I agree with you, Chris.
Whatever it is, it looks very old. By that I mean it's been dead for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, video's clear.
Yep, come on.
Subject.
There's Another rat tail or macurrid.
So
Yeah, Dan, you can zoom in on that fish when you get close. That looks different than others we've seen.
We'll try to get it, yeah.
Full wide.
Oh, he was very interested in the camera.
They want to come give you a kiss.
All right, we're going to leave this dust cloud. Moved a little too quickly to try to capture him.
Yeah, well, he was coming at you pretty quick. So
Yeah.
I think you moved as fast as you
Okay,
needed
we need to come a little more northerly, I think. Next
The
move.
big mass
Okay.
moving right off the
Are we almost
bottom
done with that last
stirs
one?
up a lot.
Yeah, just about.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we're pretty flat, so you let me know what direction you want to go to the waypoint.
So
I
yeah,
think-
looking
I
at
think
the
0.5.
at our
0.15,
position
right.
here,
Bring
it
this-
looks like
we're
we've
doing
reached
this
this
to the waypoint or
portion
the
where the depth starts to flatten
okay.
out here gradually.
We can let's get the vehicles to the waypoint.
Yeah, okay.
And yeah, as soon as it started flattening out, we did see
Actually,
this
25
enormous
is pretty
patch
good.
of
Okay.
coral rubble.
Persingid on the left.
It's an interesting looking sea star. That's one of these Persingid. That's
There's a yellow coral.
Yeah, let's snap on the yellow.
Persinga, and that's a Chrysogorgid.
Bridge nav. Let's do another 40 meters, also bearing 025
Oh,
decimal
the
2.
bottom's here eventually. There we go. There's the bottom.
Yeah, hard to say what species. It's a
copy,
young
thank you.
colony. Maybe a young stellata. And there's definitely one of those commensal squat lobsters in there.
Let's come on.
You know, I keep on seeing in the Sirius cam these parallel lineations that are oriented more or less in the direction we're looking. I can't really tell if that's just a assortment of different sediment grain sizes, so coarser grain sizes, or if those are actually truly in-place stair steps from the paleo reef growth. I can't really tell right now. Yeah.
Line up ahead.
It's really hard to tell whether or not currents have sorted the grain sizes into more of like a ripple-like structure, or if those are truly stair-step ridges that are cemented in place, or what those are.
And it looks like this is a very large and seemingly endless patch of this rubble.
Oh, there's a third waypoint.
Very few live invertebrates on this rubble, but
Anemone or something there
several
from the
fish.
bottom.
Check in with watch lead and see what
Yeah.
they want to do.
Watch lead nav. I just zoomed out and discovered
Go
a
ahead.
third waypoint off to the east of the second waypoint. We may not have time to get there. We could get close. Would you be interested in the top of that feature as opposed to the waypoint, they look to be quite like 100 meters separated at least. I see.